Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're looking at a really interesting point in a startup's journey. That moment when you move past just pure bootstrapping, because
Yeah.
you're starting to see some real traction.
Yeah, things are actually happening.
Exactly. Our source today is episode 10 of Building a Startup on a $0 Budget. And it really gets into how a company that's, built entirely on resourcefulness starts thinking about growth, sustainability.
And maybe even funding, which sounds kind of weird in this context.
Right. Funding, the thing you maybe thought you'd never need or want. But how do you consider that without sort of losing what made you successful in the first place?
That core identity.
Yeah. So if you've been out there grinding away on your zero budget idea and things are finally starting to click, you're probably asking, okay, what now?
It's totally the next logical question, isn't it? You've
Yeah.
scraped by, you've maybe proved the concept, found some users with sheer grit, and now things are picking up. So the questions naturally shift, like how do you actually scale this? When's the right time to think differently about, resources?
That's exactly what we're going to unpack today.
Looking forward to it.
So the source material, this episode 10, it really flags this as a turning point. We've already covered, validating ideas with zero cash, clever marketing hacks that don't cost anything, building that MVP on a shoestring.
All that essential early stuff.
Right. But now the episode talks about the startup hitting real traction. And what does that mean exactly?
Well, in this context, it likely means you're seeing consistent user growth, maybe paying customers coming in regularly.
Yeah.
It shows real market interest, not just like your friends and family using it.
It's beyond just proving the idea works. It is working.
Exactly. And boom, that immediately brings up that idea we mentioned, funding, which feels like a total contradiction for a zero budget operation, right?
Totally. But the episode makes a key point. It's not about just ditching the $0 mindset.
No, not at all. It's more like a strategic pause, a reassessment. You're asking, okay, do we need external capital to go faster or bigger?
Right. It's not throwing away resourcefulness. It's seeing funding as a potential tool. Like maybe it's fuel for the fire you've already built.
Yeah, the episode frames it as a potential accelerator, not a replacement for being smart with your resources.
Okay, so how do you even decide if you need that accelerator?
Well, the episode brings us back to something crucial we've touched on before. Metrics. Remember episode 3?
Ah, yes. Tracking everything.
Exactly. But now, those metrics become even more vital. They're not just telling you how you're doing now, they're your compass for these big future decisions, especially funding.
Okay, so what metrics are we talking about?
Well, think about it. If your cost to get a new customer, your CAC is super low, like almost nothing.
Because your marketing is still working great organically.
Right. And if those customers stick around, your customer lifetime value, or CLTV, is really high. And maybe your growth is just happening naturally, sustainably.
Then maybe you just keep doing what you're doing. Reinvest the profits.
Precisely. The episode suggests that might be the smartest play. Double down on what's working, keep that $0 discipline, use your own success to fuel the next stage. If that CLTV is way higher than your CAC organically, you might be golden.
Okay, but that's the ideal scenario. What if growth starts to flatten out?
Yeah, that happens. And that's where the episode says external funding could be a strategic move. Like maybe you've optimized everything you can organically, but you've hit a plateau.
Or you need a bigger push for something specific.
Exactly, like breaking into a whole new market.
No.
Or launching a much bigger marketing campaign than your current revenues can support.
Or maybe developing some really critical new features.
Yeah, things that are essential for that next big leap. That's when that external boost, as the episode implies, might make sense.
And it's interesting, the source doesn't just default to go raise venture capital.
No, thankfully. It actually highlights other paths first. Things like bootstrapping loans, which are designed for this kind of thing.
Right. Or crowdfunding.
Crowdfunding, yeah. Which can be great for cash and building community buzz at the same time.
Good point.
And it also mentions angel investors, but with a key condition.
Let me guess. Alignment?
You got it. Finding angels who genuinely get your vision, your long-term goals, and aren't just looking for a quick flip.
Because taking any money comes with strings attached.
That's right.
Expectations.
Absolutely. The episode really stresses this. You need to be crystal clear on what those expectations are and ensure they match your long-term vision. And you need to think hard about the trade-offs.
Like, could even a well-meaning angel investor make you less scrappy? Less agile?
That's a real risk you need to consider. Does it change the dynamic? Does it add pressure that stifles that creativity? Good questions to ask yourself.
So let's say you weigh it all up and you decide, okay, funding is the right strategic move. Does the $0 mindset just go out the window?
Definitely not,
Yeah.
according to the source. It hammers this home. Securing funding shouldn't mean you suddenly forget how to be resourceful.
You can't just start spending like crazy.
No way. Every single dollar, whether it's customer revenue or investor cash, still needs that same careful treatment. The episode uses a great analogy. It's like fuel for a rocket.
Ah, I like that. You wouldn't waste a drop if you're trying to reach orbit.
Exactly. Every dollar needs a purpose, a measurable return.
Okay, so alongside funding, there's another big scaling challenge. The team. You
Yeah.
can't be a solo founder forever, usually.
Right. Or even just a tiny founding team. As you grow, you hit the limits of individual capacity. Sustainable scaling almost always means bringing more people in.
So how do you do that without immediately blowing through cash, especially if you're still trying to be lean?
Well, the episode suggests thinking creatively here, too. It's not always about immediately hiring full-time employees for everything.
Like using freelancers?
Yeah, leveraging freelancers for specific skills you need, maybe project by project. It's flexible, less commitment up front.
Smart. And partnerships.
Mutually beneficial partnerships, definitely. Sharing resources, expertise, finding ways to achieve goals together without massive individual outlay.
But eventually you probably do need dedicated people, right?
Usually, yes.
Mm.
As you scale, that need becomes clearer, and the episode talks about that shift.
Mm.
The founder can't keep wearing all the hats.
Marketing, sales, product, finance. It's too much.
Way too much. So you start strategically recruiting people with real depth in those specific areas. People who know marketing better than you, or development, or customer service.
And the key benefit there isn't just getting tasks done.
No, it's bigger than that.
Yeah.
The crucial thing the episode points out is effective delegation. When you delegate well, it frees you, the founder, up.
Frees you up from the day-to-day grind.
Exactly. So you can step back, focus on the bigger picture, the strategy, where the company's actually headed long term.
Okay, but delegation is hard. How do you do it effectively? It's not just dumping work on people.
No, it's definitely not. The source emphasizes that empowering the team is key.
What does that look like?
It means, well, clearly defining roles and responsibilities, making sure people have the resources and support they actually need.
Trusting them.
Genuinely trusting their expertise, yes. Letting them own their areas. And critically, fostering open communication, feedback going both ways, mutual respect.
That sounds essential as the team grows because you just can't micromanage everything.
Impossible. And counterproductive.
So we've talked funding, we've talked team. What about the big picture, the direction?
Ah, yes. The long-term vision. The episode really stresses how vital this becomes as you move into this growth phase.
It's not just about surviving month to month anymore.
Right. You need to define, okay, where do we actually want this thing to be in 5 years, 10 years? What's the ultimate impact we want to make?
These feel like big, maybe even vague questions sometimes.
They can feel that way, but the episode argues they're the absolute foundation of your strategy. They guide the big calls and the small ones.
So knowing your 10-year goal helps you decide whether to take that funding offer today.
Precisely. Or which market to enter next, or what kind of people to hire. It all connects back to that long-term aspiration. It's your North Star, essentially.
That makes sense. It provides direction.
But the source is realistic, too. It acknowledges that balancing that big vision with the daily fires, well, that's tough.
Yeah, it's easy to get bogged down in the immediate problems and lose sight of the horizon.
Totally. And that's why the episode says you have to keep revisiting it. Your core values, your mission, those long-term goals.
Keep reminding yourself why you started this.
Yeah, constantly reorienting yourself using that North Star, as they put it. It keeps you heading in roughly the right direction, even when things get chaotic day to day.
So wrapping things up, it seems like the core message comes back to that $0 mindset.
It's more than just not having money at the start.
Right. It's a fundamental approach, isn't it? It's about being resourceful, creative, determined.
All those things you had to be to even get this far.
And the conclusion is that those qualities, they don't become obsolete just because you might have more resources later.
Exactly. The episode really emphasizes that those principles, resourcefulness, creativity, grit, they remain incredibly valuable assets. Whether you stay fully bootstrapped forever or you bring in millions in funding, that core DNA is still vital.
Okay, so if we boil it down, scaling a zero-budget startup isn't about suddenly spending freely.
Not at all.
It's more nuanced. It's about strategically, very thoughtfully figuring out if and when external funding makes sense as a tool,
A calculated tool.
while absolutely holding on to those core principles: resourcefulness, clear vision, that foundation.
Well put. Which leads to a really interesting question for you, the listener, if you're navigating this stage.
Go on.
How can you proactively figure out which specific metrics, which key performance indicators are going to be your signals? The signals that tell you whether taking external funding actually aligns with your sustainable growth plans and, just as importantly, your core values.
That's a tough one. Because it's a constant balancing act, isn't it?
It really is.
Yeah.
Balancing that lean, scrappy approach that got you here with knowing when and how to strategically use new resources, whether earned or invested, to really fuel that next stage of meaningful expansion.
Finding that sweet spot between staying lean and investing smartly for growth. A lot to think about there.